There is a power in you that no one taught you how to use a weapon. So silent, so still, so deeply buried beneath noise and reaction, that most never realize they have it. It's not your talent, it's not your words, it's not even your effort. It's your calm. The calm to sit with discomfort and not lash out. The calm to be insulted and say nothing. The calm to be underestimated and not correct them. The calm to be surrounded by chaos and still choose direction over distraction. We are living in a world that reacts quickly, emotionally, endlessly. But if you want to win, truly win, not just in applause, but in results, not in noise, but in mastery, you must choose another path. You must walk the way of calm, because calm is not weakness. Calm is control. And control, not talent, not noise, not speed, is what separates the impulsive from the powerful. When you react, you lose control of your words, of your energy, of your mind, of your direction. When you remain calm, you win. You win time. You win clarity. You win space to think, to choose, to respond with intention rather than instinct. That is how champions are made. Not by being loud, but by being deliberate. Not by being fast, but by being precise. Not by overpowering others, but by mastering themselves. This is the truth no one tells you. The calmest person in the room always has the most power. Why? Because they are not a slave to emotion. Because they are not being pulled by the chaos around them. Because they are operating from a center so grounded nothing external can shake it. You must learn to live there. You must build that inner fortress. Because without it, you are not leading your life. You are being dragged through it. Dragged by your anger. Dragged by your anxiety. Dragged by your need to defend yourself. Prove yourself. React to every attack. And that is how most people lose. They do not lose because they are weak. They lose because they are busy reacting to everything that doesn't matter and miss everything that does. They are too consumed by emotions to see clearly. Too busy defending themselves to build anything worth defending. They are always in fight mode, always reacting, always spilling energy. They don't have on battles they never needed to enter. But you must be different. You must learn the greatest skill of all, to be still when others are shaken, to be patient when others panic, to be clear when others are consumed. Because calm is not passive. Calm is a decision. Calm is a weapon. Calm is control under fire, and that control changes everything. Let the world scream. Let the crowd rage. Let the chaos rise. You breathe. You stand still. You move only when movement is needed, and then you strike like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. This is not just mindset. This is a way of being. The way of mastery. The way of those who shape history, not those swallowed by it. Think of Lincoln, calm in war. Think of Gandhi, calm in resistance. Think of Mandela, calm in the cage. They were not weak. They were not quiet because they lacked voice. They were quiet because they had depth. They had power. They had control. They knew that to react is to lose energy, lose momentum, lose clarity. They chose instead to respond with purpose, with patience, with precision. You must do the same. Because power is not volume. Power is control, and the deepest control begins with emotional command. If you cannot master your emotions will master your results. They will hijack your focus. They will sabotage your relationships. They will burn down everything you're building, all because someone triggered you. And triggers are the cracks in your armor, the places where the world knows it can pull you out of power back into chaos. You must seal those cracks. You must feel the heat and stay cold. You must feel the insult and stay unmoved. You must feel the chaos and become even more still. Because that stillness, that's your edge, that's your leverage. That's what keeps you focused while others lose themselves. That's what makes you untouchable, not because you're unreachable, but because you're unshakable. And this isn't about repressing emotion. This is about commanding it. This isn't about avoiding the fire. This is about walking through it. Eyes open, pace, steady, purpose, intact. Because life is not gentle. The world is not quiet. Success is not given to those who shout the loudest. It's earned by those who remain composed when it matters most. And it always matters most in the storm. Anyone can act calm when life is calm. But what about when you're losing? What about when the deal falls apart? When the message doesn't come? When the results don't show? When the person you trusted walks away? Do you scream? Do you shatter? Do you react? Or do you rise? Because that's when the real work begins. That's when the world watches not what you say, but how you show up. That's when your inner world either collapses or leads. And if you want to lead others, you must first lead yourself through the fire, through the dark, through the noise. That's why calm is power. Because calm says, I am not moved by the moment, I move the moment. Calm says I don't chase, I attract. I don't react, I build. Calm is when you no longer need to explain yourself to people who don't understand, because you understand yourself. Calm is when you no longer need to win every argument, because you've already won in silence. Calm is when you no longer prove anything. You live it. And from that place, all things become possible. From that place, you can see clearly. You can lead intentionally. You can execute powerfully. Because you're not running from emotion, you're rising above it. You're not pretending to be calm. You've trained yourself to be calm. You've mastered the breath. You've mastered the pause. You've mastered the wait. You've mastered the art of stillness while the world spins. And that mastery is the rarest thing in today's world. It's rare because most people are too distracted to build it, too reactive to even notice it. But not you. You are building the rarest skill of all, the ability to remain calm in the fire and still move with purpose. And in the world of chaos, that calm makes you unstoppable. Most people think calm means doing nothing, but they are wrong. Calm is doing the hardest thing in the world, not reacting. Because everything inside you will beg to react, to lash out when disrespected, to rush when afraid, to defend when doubted, to argue when challenged, to retaliate when wounded. But every time you react, you surrender. You surrender your focus. You surrender your power. You surrender your future to a moment that didn't deserve your energy in the first place. Reaction is a loss. It is the mind saying, I am not in control. It is the ego saying, I need to be seen. It is the emotion saying, let me speak for you. And in that moment, you are no longer the author of your decisions. But calm is authorship. Calm says I choose the words, not my anger. Calm says, I pick the pace, not my fear. Calm says I determine the outcome, not the outside world. That is real power, not the power to dominate others, the power to not be dominated by yourself. Let that sink in. Because if you do not rule your internal world, the external world will rule you. That's why most people fail. They don't lose in the marketplace. They lose in the mind. They lose when their emotions get louder than their intentions. They lose when impulse overrides strategy. They lose when they forget that silence, stillness, and presence are more powerful than any outburst. Look around. Most people are addicted to reacting. A comment triggers them. A delay frustrates them. An opinion derails their day. An unexpected outcome breaks their spirit. They live in emotional turbulence, jumping from one storm to the next and calling it passion. But it's not passion. It's volatility. It's a lack of internal command. And volatility never builds anything stable. Volatility never sustains greatness. Volatility always ends in collapse. But calm builds. Calm sustains. Calm leads. Calm sees through the fog when others are blinded by it. That's why calm wins. Because when everyone else is sprinting toward panic, calm walks toward the solution. When everyone else is yelling, calm listens. When everyone else is breaking, calm holds. And in that quiet holding, that centered stillness, calm becomes the most dangerous force in the room. Because calm is underestimated. It doesn't look like a fight. It doesn't look like a weapon. It doesn't look like strength. Until everything else crumbles and calm is still standing. Until everyone else burns out and calm is still building. Until every other leader has reacted their way into ruin, and the calm one remains rising silent and unstoppable. You must become that leader. You must become the presence that shifts rooms without speaking. You must become the energy that holds others together when they want to fall apart. You must become the one who breathes when others explode, who chooses truth over impulse, who acts from center, not chaos. This is not natural. This is trained. You must train yourself to pause, The pause is the most powerful space in the world. That tiny space between stimulus and response, that is where your future is written. That one breath between what happened and how you choose to react, that is where your character is revealed. Most people fill that space with emotion. You must fill it with awareness, with breath, with stillness, with intention. Because that pause is not inaction, it's alignment. It's you aligning with who you really are instead of who your emotion wants you to be. It's you asking, does this move me forward? Does this protect my peace? Does this serve my mission? And if it doesn't, you don't do it. You don't say it. You don't become it. You stay calm, you stay still, you stay sovereign. That's the word, sovereign. Because when you are calm, you are sovereign over yourself. No one owns your state. No one triggers your response. No one gets to drag you off your path. You are not pulled by energy, you project it. You are not infected by chaos. You are the cure for it. This is the mark of all great leaders, from generals to monks, from visionaries to warriors. They learned to command themselves. And in that command, they earned the right to lead others. Because no one can follow someone who is emotionally erratic. No one can trust someone who flinches at every shadow. No one is inspired by someone who loses control at every challenge. But calm. Calm inspires confidence. Calm earns respect. Calm generates gravity. People want to be near it, follow it, become it. You must become it. But to do that, you must change the way you deal with pressure. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the teacher. And the first lesson of pressure is this: you don't have to respond right now. You don't have to reply to the message immediately. You don't have to defend your name the second it's questioned. You don't have to prove anything. The moment someone doubts you, you can wait, you can breathe, you can watch. Because patience under pressure is power under control. And power under control is the rarest energy in the world. You see it in the boxer who doesn't waste punches. You see it in the leader who listens more than he speaks. You see it in the warrior who can sit in silence and let his presence speak louder than words ever could. You must become that kind of force, that kind of presence, because presence is calm, made visible. When you walk into the room, people feel it, not because you're loud, but because you are aligned. Because your energy is not scattered, it is centered. Because you're not looking to prove, you're looking to build. Because your power is not performative, it's principled. That's what people trust. That's what people follow. That's what people remember. Not the one who shouted, the one who stayed still when the fire came and walked through it. Untouched. That is who you must be. That is what calm creates. And you're closer to it than you think. It starts with a breath. It starts with a pause. It starts with one choice to stay grounded when everything else says move. One moment becomes a habit. A habit becomes a trait. A trait becomes who you are. And one day you'll wake up and the things that used to throw you off center will barely make a ripple. Not because they're gone, but because you've changed. Because you've trained yourself to be still in the storm. Because you've trained yourself to think when others only feel. Because you've trained yourself to lead without shouting, without rushing, without reacting. And in that space you will find peace. But more than that, you will find power. And the world will feel it. Calm isn't just about breathing slow. It's about becoming untouchable. Not because you're above the world, but because you've trained yourself to not be owned by it. This is where most people get it wrong. They think detachment means indifference. They think silence means surrender. They think stillness means passivity. But the truth is the opposite. Detachment is discipline. Silence is strategy. Stillness is strength. You are not distant because you don't care. You are distant because your mission cannot afford emotional interference. You are not silent because you're afraid to speak. You are silent because noise is not your language anymore. You are not passive. You are precise. This is the new level. The level where you no longer seek to win arguments because you're building empires. The level where you no longer fight battles of ego because you're too focused on internal mastery. The level where you no longer let people rent space in your head because you've claimed full ownership. Let that be clear. You are not required to react to what doesn't deserve your reaction. Not every comment, not every critic, not every crisis. Calm says, I see the fire. I don't jump into it. I feel the insult. I don't answer it. I hear the noise. I don't become it. Because calm is not avoidance, it's elevation. You don't shrink from drama. You rise above it. You don't suppress anger. You transmute it into clarity. You don't bottle emotions. You rechannel them into progress. And that's mastery. The most dangerous person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who has nothing to prove. Because when you are calm, you don't need to win moments. You're too focused on winning your mission. That's where the game changes. When you no longer chase control over people because you've gained control over yourself. When you no longer depend on external validation because your inner compass is louder than any opinion. When you no longer need everyone to understand because understanding yourself is more than enough. This is not arrogance. This is awareness. Because the more you see, the less you say. The more you master, the less you react. The more you grow, the more you understand the value of silence. Silence is not empty, it's full of power. Every word you don't speak saves you energy. Every reaction you withhold strengthens your discipline. Every breath you take instead of breaking reinforces your throne, because this is your throne. You're calm. And on that throne, you don't flinch. You don't beg. You don't chase. You lead, and when others expect the explosion, you give them stillness. When others expect retaliation, you give them peace. When others expect you to fold, you show them grace under pressure. This is what makes you unforgettable. Not your outrage, not your revenge, not your noise. Your restraint. Your ability to hold while others break. Your ability to think while others feel, your ability to build while others burn. That's what builds trust. That's what commands respect. That's what earns longevity. Because anyone can act strong for a moment, but only the calm can sustain strength over time. Anyone can make a move, but only the calm make moves that matter. Anyone can win once, but only the calm build a life that wins again and again and again. Without drama, without distraction, without destruction. And you get there not by avoiding storms, but by becoming the eye of them. Let the winds rage around you. Let the opinions swirl. Let the attacks come. Let the world test your center. You don't need to control it. You just need to not be moved by it. Because calm doesn't mean you don't feel it, it means you don't fold. Calm doesn't mean you're not aware. It means you choose your awareness carefully. Calm doesn't mean weakness. It means your energy is reserved for what matters. And this is the rarest kind of discipline. The discipline of not reacting. It is not easy, but it is everything. Because one reaction can cost you your focus. One outburst can cost you your respect. One emotional slip can destroy what 10 years of calm built. So you learn, you train. You master the pause, the breath, the hold. You train your nervous system to sit in fire and not scream. You train your mind to observe the insult and not absorb it. You train your spirit to walk through chaos and not lose its rhythm. That's when you know you've become the weapon. You've become the strategy. You've become the standard. And no one can take that from you. Not the critic, not the hater, not even the old version of yourself that once needed to be loud to feel strong. Because you've grown. You've evolved. You've stepped into a level where calm is not a tactic. It's your identity. You are calm because you've earned it. You are calm because you've bled for it. You are calm because you've faced the storm and realized you are the storm. And from this moment forward, you lead from that place. Not with reactivity, not with emotion, not with panic, but with presence, with clarity, with command. Because now you understand. Calm isn't the absence of reaction. It's the presence of intention. There will come a moment when you are tested, not in public, not in front of the crowd, but in the silence in that sacred space where no one sees, no one hears, no one will ever know. And in that moment, everything inside you will want to react, to defend your name, to prove your worth, to attack back, to break down, to lash out, to let the emotion win. But if you've built your calm, truly built it, you'll do something far more powerful. Nothing. You won't react, you won't chase, you won't shrink. You'll simply stand still. And in that stillness, you win. Because the one who does not react owns the room. The one who does not chase owns their direction. The one who does not explain owns their truth. Because calm, true weaponized calm, doesn't just protect your peace. It shifts the dynamic. It flips the game. It creates discomfort in the emotional attacker. It reveals their weakness. It starves their fire. And in that starving, they exhaust themselves while you remain full. They expose themselves while you remain hidden in command. They burn while you build. This is the irony of calm. It doesn't look like domination, but it is. It doesn't look like winning until everyone else has fallen and you're still standing. It doesn't look like violence, but it ends wars before they begin. Because calm does not require validation. Calm is the validation. Calm doesn't argue. Calm removes the need for argument. Calm doesn't rush to reply. Calm lets time prove it right. And in a world addicted to reaction, calm becomes rare. And what is rare becomes powerful. Rare becomes magnetic. Rare becomes irreplaceable. Rare becomes respected even by those who fear it. This is why the calmest man in the room is always the most dangerous. Because while others waste energy trying to prove something, he already knows who he is. While others lose time reacting to noise, he stays on path. While others throw stones, he builds kingdoms. And when the storm passes, he is the only one left. Dry, unbroken, unbothered. That is the calm you must cultivate. But don't be fooled. This calm is not born from comfort. It is not gifted. It is not given. It is earned. Earned through pain you did not react to. Earned through insults you did not answer. Earned through chaos you walked through with grace. And every time you chose stillness over rage, clarity over panic, breath over impulse, you forged it. You tempered your fire. You sharpened your blade. You built what no storm could tear down. Now it is yours. Your edge, your armor, your weapon, and the world will not understand it. They will call it weakness until they realize they can't shake you. They will call it coldness until they see you lead through hell without flinching. They will call it luck until they realize it was built breath by breath in silence. Let them wonder. Let them misunderstand. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. And the undeniable do not explain. They embody. The undeniable do not react. They recalibrate. The undeniable do not chase chaos. They create calm. And that calm becomes their empire. An empire of self-command. An empire of inner silence. An empire where every action is calculated, every move is earned, and every victory is internal before it ever becomes external. Because all things flow from the inside out. A calm mind builds a clear vision. A clear vision builds consistent action. Consistent action builds unshakable confidence. And confidence held in silence, not shouted, becomes gravity. That gravity pulls the right people, the right energy, the right outcomes into your orbit. You no longer need to push, you attract. You no longer need to explain. You express through example. Because calm is not loud. It's loud in silence. And the world feels it. They feel it in how you carry yourself. They feel it in the space between your words. They feel it in the fact that you don't rise to noise. You rise above it. You are no longer in the game of reaction. You are in the game of precision, of peace, of power. And now you move differently. You wake up with stillness in your blood. You build with patience in your hands. You speak with weight in your voice. Because you've trained yourself not just to win, but to win without ever losing yourself. That is the rarest victory of all. Most people sacrifice their character chasing wins. You protected yours and earned wins that last. Most people lost control on the path to influence. You mastered control and became influential because of it. Most people fell to emotion. You stood in command. And now the world notices. Now the people who doubted you feel your presence without a word. Now the doors that once ignored you open without you knocking. Now the storms that used to shake you pass like background noise. Because you no longer need the world to give you peace. You are the peace. And that kind of calm, that's untouchable. That's unforgettable. That's unstoppable. Now that you've tasted calm, not just as a feeling, but as power, you must begin the deeper work, becoming it. Not sometimes, not when it's easy, but every single day, under pressure, in silence, without applause. Because calm is not an event. It is not a mindset you visit when things feel good. It is a system, a rhythm, a way of living. And like anything powerful, it must be trained. It starts when you wake up. Before the world reaches for you, you must reach for yourself. Before the noise begins, you must find silence. Before the emotions rise, you must choose stillness. Because the world will pull at you from the moment you open your eyes. Messages, expectations, pressure, urgency. But if you've already grounded yourself in breath, in intention, in silence, none of it can shake you. This is the first principle. Start the day calm and you command the rest. Don't reach for your phone. Reach inward. Don't scroll through opinions. Sit in presence. 5 minutes of deep stillness beats 5 hours of mindless reaction. 10 breaths in silence will prepare you more than 10 strategies in panic. Because when your nervous system is calm, your decisions are sharp. When your heart is still, your vision is clean. When your mind is unbothered, your moves become precise. That's how calm wins, not just emotionally, but practically. Better decisions, fewer mistakes, less regret, more clarity, more progress. You must learn to protect your state, because your emotional state is the thermostat of your results. If your temperature keeps spiking in response to the world, your progress will be erratic. But if you stay stable, if you hold your internal climate regardless of external weather, you become reliable to your mission, to your relationships, to yourself. And reliability, emotional consistency is rare. It's what separates those who finish from those who start. It's what separates builders from reactors. It's what makes people trust you even when they can't explain why. They feel it. They feel your presence. They feel your poise. They feel that you are not a moment. You are a movement. That's what makes you magnetic. Because people are tired of noise, tired of fakes, tired of force. They crave someone grounded, someone who listens more than they speak, someone who doesn't need to flex because calm is louder than any performance. And that kind of calm, it must be built into how you live, into how you respond to slow days, into how you handle tension, into how you recover from mistakes. Not with shame, not with overcorrection, but with grace. Because calm doesn't demand perfection. It demands awareness. It doesn't say never break, it says, don't stay broken. It doesn't say never feel. It says, feel without folding. This is real emotional strength. Not that you never shake, but that you never let the shaking choose your next step. And step by step, you begin to rewire. You begin to notice where you lose calm and shorten the time between trigger and realignment. You begin to build rituals that ground you, habits that reset you, values that guide you. You no longer ask, how do I avoid pressure? You ask, how do I respond to it like a master? Because this is not about becoming robotic. This is about becoming responsible, able to respond from wisdom, not wounds. This is emotional wealth. This is energetic sovereignty. This is leadership at its highest form. But only if you build it into your identity. You cannot visit calm. You must become calm. It's not what you do when it's quiet. It's who you are when it's loud. So speak less, mean more. Move slower, hit deeper, react less, build longer. This is the way. And yes, you will slip. You will catch yourself reacting. You will feel old habits creep in. You will forget your breath, your presence, your power. But that's okay, because calm isn't about being flawless. It's about being committed. So when you fall, you rise again. Not louder, but quieter. Not angrier, but clearer. And over time, your reactions dissolve. Your impulses weaken. Your presence strengthens. Until people begin to say, there's something different about you, and they won't know what it is. But you will. You'll know it's the stillness you earned, the silence you protected, the breath you returned to when everyone else was chasing chaos. And in that stillness, your life begins to change. You stop arguing. You start creating. You stop panicking. You start building. You stop proving. You start leading. Not with emotion, but with example. Because your calm is now your compass. It tells you what's worth your energy and what's not. It tells you what's true and what's just noise. It tells you who you are and reminds you who you are becoming. And when you live from that place, you don't just win moments, you win the long game. You don't just manage emotions, you master them. You don't just avoid reacting. You rise in silence. And the world feels it. There is a level of calm that cannot be learned, only remembered. Because deep down, you were born with it. Before the noise, before the world told you who to be, before the world trained you to react. You were calm. You were whole. You were undisturbed. And the journey you are on now. This isn't just about becoming something new. It's about returning to that stillness, that awareness, that inner truth that never needed to prove, perform, or panic. It has always been there, buried under layers of reaction, conditioning, and chaos. But now you're digging it back up. Every breath is a shovel. Every pause is a breakthrough. Every moment of silence is a step closer to your center. And in that center, you find something deeper than strength. You find freedom, not freedom from the world. Freedom within it. Freedom from being owned by your emotions. Freedom from dancing to other people's expectations. Freedom from the need to respond, explain, perform, or chase. This is spiritual clarity. This is where calm becomes sacred. Because calm is not just power, it is peace. Peace in the storm. Peace in the insult. Peace in the unknown. Peace without conditions. You're no longer waiting for the world to calm down. You are the calm the world is waiting for. You become the one who doesn't need to control everything, because you've surrendered what was never yours to carry. You stop resisting what you cannot change and start responding to what you can. You stop fearing discomfort and start growing through it. This is where silence becomes your ally. Silence, once awkward, now becomes sacred. You begin to crave it, not because you're escaping, but because in silence you hear clearly. You hear your own thoughts, not the voices of the crowd. You hear your own intuition, not the noise of your fear. You hear your own purpose, not the static of the surface world. This is where everything changes. Because you realize most of your suffering wasn't caused by what happened. It was caused by your reaction to it. Most of your stress wasn't the event. It was the story you told about the event. The mental replay, the emotional attachment, the grip. But now you're releasing that grip. You're letting go. Not giving up, letting go. Not walking away, rising above. Not ignoring, transcending. And from that height, you begin to see, the world isn't here to destroy you. It's here to refine you. Every moment of resistance has been an invitation to power. Every trigger has been a mirror. Every insult has been training. Every fire has been your forge. And calm is what allows you to see it. Calm is what lets you stay in the lesson without becoming the pain. Calm is what lets you receive the wisdom without clinging to the wound. Because now you're not here to escape storms, you're here to grow roots inside them. You're not here to avoid pressure. You're here to be reshaped by it. You're not here to be reactive. You're here to be resonant. And resonance only happens in calm. Because only when the water is still can it reflect the sky. Only when the mind is quiet can it hear truth. Only when the soul is settled can it lead. You must learn to live from that place, to lead from it, to love from it, to decide from it, to build from it. Because when you do, you are no longer moved by circumstances. You move through them. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. You are aligned with something greater. You are not ruled by ego. You are guided by essence. You are not chasing control. You are grounded in presence. This is the highest level, where success is no longer a chase. It's a byproduct, a natural consequence of inner alignment. Where achievement is no longer forced, it's flowed. Where greatness is not an identity you wear. It's a reflection of who you've become. And who you've become is still. Still but not stagnant, still but alert, still but sharp, still but alive. Because calm doesn't mean nothing moves. It means nothing moves without intention. You are no longer driven by urgency, but by clarity. No longer pushed by fear, but pulled by vision. No longer enslaved by reaction, but anchored in response. You've entered the rarest kind of wealth. The kind that cannot be measured. The kind that cannot be taken. The kind that doesn't need to shout because it simply is. And now you know the truth. Winning without reacting isn't just strategy, it's liberation. You've walked through fire, and you didn't flinch. You've been doubted, tested, misunderstood, and you didn't explain. You've been pushed, provoked, pulled in 1,000 directions, and still you held the center. That is what makes you untouchable. Because now you don't just understand calm. You are calm. You don't just practice stillness, you carry it. You don't just return to your breath. Your breath has become the rhythm of your presence. And from that place, you win without ever needing to fight. Because when you no longer react, you take away the world's only weapon against you. They can insult, but you won't bite. They can push, but you won't fall. They can mock, but you won't break. Because you've become sovereign. No longer ruled by impulse, no longer triggered by noise. no longer pulled by shadows. You've built something most people never even touch: inner royalty. And royalty does not argue with chaos. Royalty does not run to every fire. Royalty does not prove itself to peasants of emotion. It leads, it builds, it holds posture, it moves on its own time. Not the world's tempo. You now walk with a different energy. Not loud, not flashy, but unmistakable. The kind of energy that silences rooms without speaking. The kind of energy that shifts dynamics just by presence. The kind of energy that others feel and can't quite explain, because you don't fight for attention anymore. Your stillness demands it. You don't beg to be heard. Your silence speaks louder than words ever could. You don't need to take space, you are the space. And that is the final evolution. You have become the calm others are searching for. In a world of reactions, you are rhythm. In a world of chaos, you are cadence. In a world of noise, you are note. You've become the one who stays when others run, the one who listens when others shout, the one who leads when others panic. And you did it not through force, but through stillness, not through dominance, but through discipline, not through rage, but through presence. Now the world moves around you, but it no longer moves through you. You are clear, you are steady, you are calm. You've become the rarest force on earth, a person who can be trusted with power because they've mastered themselves. This is the final truth. Power is not the ability to control others. Power is the ability to never lose control of yourself. And now you hold that power. So move forward, not with noise, but with intent. Build not with rush, but with rhythm. Speak, not to be heard, but to align. Act not to impress, but to impact. Let others chase moments, you build movements. Let others seek applause, you seek alignment. Let others react to everything. You respond to only what matters, because that is how you win. You win without reacting. You rise without forcing. You lead without shouting. You live without breaking. And most of all, you win the only battle that ever mattered, the one within. And from that victory, all things become possible.